Welcome to your Silver Circle. I'm Anita.
And I'm Mary Lee, and today we're going to talk about when your decluttering project gets derailed.
And that's a pretty common occurrence.
It is, or
yeah.
at least mine's been derailed, and I've heard that from other folks.
Well, it seems to be going around on YouTube too, people talking about the organization and how it's gone awry, as we were talking about earlier. But first, before we get started, we just want to thank you all for supporting us by subscribing and liking our videos, especially when it comes to decluttering. Who knew that was such a topic?
Who knew?
So we're back to talk about it again. But we invite you to help us continue to grow. Subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and then if you think you know somebody who might be interested, please feel free to share.
That's right.
All right. So let's get started.
So let's talk about decluttering, because
Yes.
that was, as you said, a bigger topic than and a more popular topic than what we realized it was going to be. But what I'm finding personally, and what we're hearing from people, is it can start out well and then get derailed for various reasons. So some of those reasons could be maybe unrealistic expectations.
So do you think that's for you? Because I know you were like making a lot of forward movement, and then you just kind of were like, I can't even get back to it.
Yeah, and I think because it was all stuff that was put away,
Yeah.
when I pulled it out to start to go through things, wow, it's a lot more stuff
Then you realize.
than I realized.
Because it's all nicely organized, like the Tetris game. That's how my dad packed anyway.
Yeah.
It's all Tetris game.
Yeah, it was all in its place.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to do the work and go through it. So sometimes it can just be unrealistic expectations, I think, partly about how much stuff you have.
Yeah.
And partly about how much time you have.
There you go.
So
yeah. Because maybe you're finding a lot of great things to do during retirement, and suddenly decluttering isn't quite the priority that you thought it was.
Right. And then the other thing, when you started, it seems, or at least for me, this was okay, I've got this time, I can do this. And then you can feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
Because you then realize just how much work.
Well, especially I think if you think that you are just going to dive right in, and I think most people just start pulling everything out, and then they're surrounded by all their stuff.
And that can
to your
feel
point, like,
really overwhelming.
yeah, like your expectation of it wasn't quite as much until you have it around you. Do you remember those, I think it was like early 2000s maybe, those home shows that were all about like decluttering?
Where they like drug it all out on the lawn.
Yes.
And
it would be like, you'd look at the house and you'd think, oh, they got a lot of stuff. And then they bring it outside and they've got tarps all over their front yard. And you're like, oh, they have a lot of stuff.
yeah.
I can only imagine if like you or I did that and we didn't have somebody out there to help keep us organized. I would be so overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I just leave it here. I'm going back in my house. I'm locking the door. I'm not coming
Lock
back
the
out
door,
till it's
hope
gone.
somebody steals the stuff, right?
Right? You're like,
just take it.
putting a note on Craigslist. It's all free. Come get it.
Because I do think that to have it out of the space is helpful. I mean, that was part of why that show worked.
Yeah.
Was because when it was in the space, it took up space.
Yeah.
And then when they pulled it all out of the house, you were like, oh my gosh, that room is really a good size room.
And I think I did talk to somebody recently who they had said that they didn't take our advice about starting in one room at a time and had just kind of done like all the bedrooms at one time. And they were just like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And so they shoved it all into the spare bedroom and closed the door. I was like, oh no. Don't.
Yeah, I was almost there a couple of weeks ago. It's like, and most of mine is in the basement. So it is, not really living space that we use a lot. So it's easy to ignore it.
So out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. But another thing that I found, and really part of the reason that it took longer than what I thought it was going to take, was the emotional attachment to things. I mean, I got rid of things that probably should have been gotten rid of like 40 years ago. But, in looking, I want to look through those things.
Right.
Because in some cases, there are things I decided to keep, not very many of them, but a few things that I decided to keep.
Yeah.
I had cards, and that part was hard for me.
Yeah.
I threw away cards from when I was born that my mom had kept. I threw away cards from my high school graduation, but I had to read them all.
Yeah.
I had cards from my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And I have a birthday card from Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Well, you have
and
to keep that.
I didn't want to throw that away.
Well, I wouldn't.
So, I'm like carefully going through all these cards, and that was just so time consuming and in some cases so emotional in a way that I didn't think it was going to be.
So I love that you're like thinking about that it was emotional, but I can see like the later ones being emotional, but the earlier ones, why do you think that had such an emotional impact on you? Because it was like from your mom and your mom's gone?
Well, the baby shower cards, it was for me sort of a reminder of, I grew up in a very small town, and I mean, it was like the whole town turned out when somebody had a baby.
Yeah.
And so I was going through looking at some of those names, remembering some of those people
and so
from
like the
my
stories
childhood. I mean,
Okay.
I grew up in sort of a, it takes a village.
Yeah.
And so I was.
It did.
It did. And so, yeah, I mean, you couldn't get in very much trouble because there were moms on every corner. But
And out every window.
people I hadn't thought about in a while.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that's why those were emotional. I think a little bit the same with the high school graduation cards, because some of the people I'm in touch with, other people I haven't seen in a while. So I had to, sort of think about each one.
Because I have the cards from all of my kids' baby showers, and I had asked them, are you interested in looking at these? And they very lovingly told me, no. Like, why would I want to look at those? Those mean nothing to me. So I just was trying to connect those two.
I think that's something you have to think about in your approach. I mean, it would have been much easier if I'd taken those baby shower cards and just gone, oh, wow, those are not relevant at all. Off they go. But some of them were kind of cute, too. And they were sort of, cards have changed a lot over the years.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So things that you don't necessarily think are going to be emotional.
So that's like 2 hours right there if you're just looking through cards.
Easy.
And so your day's done.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you have to work out half the day. And
right.
Because we're learning that keeping fit.
Because I got to have stamina for
right. Well, we're just learning that staying fit and being fitness minded literally
it's a whole lot more work.
Yeah, it's like a part-time job.
Yeah.
So between that and then 2 hours of cards, you're like, okay, I'm overwhelmed by I've already spent all this time and I've got all this emotion. And then you're looking at everything else. So definitely overwhelmed can play a part in that.
Yeah.
With the emotional attachment with it. So like
I did make a deal with myself that if it went in the trash, I wasn't going to take things back out of the trash. Okay, decision made.
Yeah.
You sort of have to psych yourself up a little bit.
Did you throw it away, or did you have your husband throw it away?
So I threw it away.
Oh, there you go. So like it truly was a clean emotional break then.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
That's good.
And then the other thing too, that with any big project, but I think especially with something like this, because you can stop, is there interruptions.
Yeah.
And, so...
And life right now is full of interruptions.
Yeah, life happens.
Right.
And so the project that you thought, oh, I'll have this done in a month.
Yeah. It's been 5.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. And interruptions that are good and interruptions that aren't good.
Both.
Yeah. And then, I think sometimes we look for interruptions because of the other things we've talked about too. At least I do that. I'm like, basketball's on. Well, I don't really like basketball, but Steve's watching it, so I'll watch it with him. I guess for me, the interruption is more of an avoidance because it's hard.
I think in my case, because the decluttering that I'm doing is in the basement. I'm down there by myself.
Yeah.
And so it's not a project you can do and watch basketball with your husband. It's something that you've got to focus on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. Well, we've talked a lot about what keeps us from
the derailment
moving forward. Yeah. So how do we get back on track?
So I think for me, the biggest thing was remembering why I started. Because you'll remember a couple of whys. One of my things was I don't want my kids to need to go through stuff that they have no idea why I even kept it.
Like their baby cards.
Right. Or my baby cards. They'd be like, I don't know those people. And the other thing was recouping some space. Mm-hmm. And I've actually done just the opposite because now I have less space. Because
it's all spread out.
Yeah, I have less space to use. But I think going back to that why.
Yeah.
And why did you embark on this project? And maybe that changes. Maybe you have to think through that again. And, maybe...
So it's more like a reminder.
A reminder.
Why you started
Yeah, exactly.
Think about why you did this. And then if that changes, right? So maybe at the first time it was, I need more space. But now as you're looking at it, you're like, not only do I need more space, but I don't want my children to have to deal with this. So now maybe the why's changed. And that's okay. Why's always change as we grow.
And now I'm sort of, the why is because I've created so much more of a monster
do you think you get
that I'm forced to deal with it?
So now how you fix it?
So the furnace man doesn't have to step over the...
Did he ask, is any of this for sale? Are you preparing for a garage sale, ma'am?
He didn't. He was very polite. But, you could sort of see him looking around.
Next time, just lie. Yeah, I'm preparing for a garage sale. It's all good.
Yeah. I think that works.
Yeah. So maybe you need to remember your why. Find your why.
Yeah.
I love the why.
Yeah.
I use that for everything. Why am I doing this? I don't know.
And then I think you also have to look at your method, what you're doing.
Right.
Is that working for you?
Right.
Because I thought I had a great method.
Yes.
Well, so some of what I was doing was I had tubs with this gets donated, this gets saved, and this gets trashed. But then I also had tubs for my two sons because there's some of the things that it's their decision whether to keep. I mean, we've got baseball cards. We've got...
Yeah, you can't get rid of those.
We've different school things of theirs.
Yeah.
And so they each now have a tub because I needed someplace to go with that stuff that doesn't fit my other buckets.
And so that's not really working for you anymore because you run out of tub space.
Yeah.
Because I know that I did that and it didn't work for me because I ran out of tub space. And then I felt like I had to stop until the tubs were empty because I have kind of a completionist whatever in me, this need. And so that, for me, that doesn't work. I can't.
Well, and so I realized as I was looking in the basement at the project that I have 5 tubs that have been emptied. So I've made progress.
You have.
More progress than when you look at it, that it looks like I've done.
Yeah. So you like to be able to check things off like I've done these things. These
are tubs that now are clear. I just needed to move them out of the house too because now suddenly I have something else that, is in the way of what I'm working.
Yeah. But those are that's an easy, you stack those up and...
If they were all the same size, you would, but they're different. They're different era tubs. You can tell by the color.
Yeah, I love it. And so we're back to Tetris.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could try different methods. So if that part isn't working for you, then you could do, was it the Marie Kondo where she said you do, in the kitchen you would do cupboards and then drawers. She really broke it up.
And she's a proponent of take everything out, put back in what you use, and then the rest of that needs to go either donate or throw away or give away.
Yeah.
And, I really do kind of love that method.
Yeah.
And I did that with my closet, and it worked really well. Mm-hmm. But it would not work in the basement.
No, because that's too different. And so that's a good point. So you might have different methods for different areas in the house.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Because I also use that method for my clothes. I pull everything out of the closet, lay it on the bed, and then it's very much did you wear it this year? Did you wear it the past 6 months or the past season for us? And then does it fit? Do you ever really think you're going to be that size again? Oh, when?
And will it still be in style?
And then will you even like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or to your point earlier, am I holding on to it for the emotional? Like there's memories attached to it. Like I have a green leather jacket that I just haven't worn. And Steve gave it to me when I turned 40. And so I haven't worn it in forever, and I've had thought about getting rid of it many times. And so I just wore it to his service award party. And I was like, all right, I'm going to wear this. It still fits. I just can't button it. But it still fits. So I thought, okay, next time I go through my things, I can be like, yes, I wore it.
I did wear that.
I did.
Yeah.
With the emotional attachment and all.
And some of that's being realistic with, why am I reluctant to move this along?
Right. Okay, so we've touched on your method isn't working, and so then that kind of leads into your goals. Did you have realistic goals?
And I felt like they were realistic at the time, but now I realized that they were really unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's not the goal of getting to the point I want to get to, but how long it was going to take.
Because there was more things, or just because of the amount of time that you had?
Because the process was longer.
Yeah. So I can see that. Okay. So adjust your goals.
Right.
Take into account then that it may take longer than you think it's going to take. Which leads into one of our last ones, which is give yourself some grace.
Right.
Because things take longer.
It does take time. Yeah. So know that.
Yeah.
Know that you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
And that it does take time. And maybe start small. Start where you can have some success.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'd had success with 5 tubs. Who knew?
I started under the sink in the bathroom because it was really easy to get rid of medications that expire, and you feel like, look at me, I'm getting things done. So you kind of have that sense of accomplishment.
And I did that in the kitchen because it's really easy to get rid of duplicate utensils you haven't used.
Yeah.
Things that you don't even know what it is.
I had some of that when I moved my mom and was packing up her kitchen. Like, I don't
What
know
is
what this
this?
is. Why would you use this? How would you use it? She had one of those really big Pampered Chef spatulas that are like kind of round.
I've seen those, yeah.
But I'm like, what do you use this for? So I asked her. She's like, well, you flip pancakes with that. It's like, okay. I just use the regular spatula, but that's what she used it for. I was like, I had no idea.
And are you going to use it?
No, I sold it. I sold it for like $10. Somebody was like, "Oh, that's."
They thought, "Wow,
yeah,
what a find!
What a bargain!" It's Pampered Chef, and it hardly been used. And I was like, "Yeah, because it barely fit in the drawer."
Well, and that is the great thing about redoing the kitchen and decluttering. There is some of those drawers just get packed.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't go buy a whole lot of new things, but somehow, they get packed.
It's because you put them in all nice and neat. And then when you wash them and you put them away, they just get tossed in. Or in my case, someone helps you, which would be my husband, and he puts them in different drawers. And I'm like, that doesn't go in there. That doesn't fit in that drawer. Well, how am I supposed to know? And I'm like, you weren't. I'm just making a comment. It goes over here.
Goes in this drawer.
Thank you for doing the dishes. I really appreciate it.
So I think if you start with things like that, where you can have some success,
yeah.
That helps.
Smaller steps.
Keep the momentum.
Yeah, so give yourself some grace if you're not moving as fast as you thought.
And ask for help. You can ask if you have a friend or family member. My granddaughter is going to come over and help, though I think it might be about trying on prom dresses but she's also a great help. So I say that laughingly.
Yeah.
But there's something to having the moral support too, because somebody else can't make the decisions, but they can sort of keep you moving along.
Right. So maybe pick someone who isn't going to have an emotional attachment to your things, because they can help you work through that and not necessarily get bogged down in the same process you're trying to work through.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody you get along with well, because I was just thinking, my husband likes to clean out things every once in a while, and he will we don't need all this. And
he's just ruthless, huh?
yes. And I'm like, we have a holiday. We actually need more than 4 coffee mugs because there's 10 of us. And so, it's helpful to have 3 wood spoons.
Because there are times
that
we need
about
those.
5 times a year we're going to need them. Do we need them every day? No. But so, make sure you've got somebody who understands your life.
Right. And that can help you with sometimes the dilemma, because I sort of made rules with myself.
Yeah.
But then you've got to stick with them.
Yep. You need a good support system.
Yeah. So sometimes some help can make it go a little bit easier. We'd love to know if you've run into any derailment or things going not the way you expected with your decluttering projects, and what things you've done.
So check in with us. We want to know how your decluttering projects are going. Yeah. Where are you at? Where are you stuck? And maybe in the comments we can help each other out.
That sounds like a good plan.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We hope that you are getting along really well in your decluttering projects. And I think we'll talk to you next time.
Yes. Don't forget that you can go to our website to sign up for our newsletter. And another reminder, please like and subscribe. That helps us out and doesn't cost you anything. So we will talk to you next time.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.